Hi, so welcome back. This is a informative video and it's also my third sterilization update, but this is just the insurance part of it. And I didn't want to talk about it until everything was squared away, and it finally is 5 months later. It finally is. So I have been going, because I got my pen because I have my notes right there. I have been going back and forth with my insurance company since before my procedure on September 26, 2022. So I have Cigna through my employer, and I'm going to say that I did so much research regarding sterilization. I did a deep dive on Reddit about doctors that were friendly towards this procedure for women, insurance codes, the whole nine. Like, I had thoroughly did my research on this. So when I got my final procedure date of 9/26/2022, which was confirmed by my doctor, I started to pull like all of my data together so that I can make sure that my procedure team and the insurance company were on the same page. Mind you, the procedure is on 9/26/2022. I started communicating with my insurance company a month ahead in August of 2022. So let's just jump right into this, right? Okay, so the first thing I did was confirm with Cigna that my insurance was compatible with the ACA, which is the Affordable Care Act. I had been on, like, I prefer to use chat rather than phone call. Number one, I'm hard of hearing and I can miss details in a phone call, but through the chat, it's right there. You can save it, and it was just more efficient for me to have chats to refer back to, which I'm so glad I did save every single one because I needed them when I had went to fight for my appeal. So the first thing I did was, through the insurance company, they all have administrative policies, and you can also ask them if they are ACA compliant. So with Cigna, I wanted to know if my particular procedure, which was a sterilization by way of removing the fallopian tube, did it fall under the preventative care part of the administrative policy in regards to their preventative care services. First thing I did, this is going to look backwards. I probably won't even show these things on here because it's going to be backwards. But so they sent me their administrative policy, and the first thing I highlighted, and this is just for people for future references, just in case, you just want to find the section that says the Affordable Care Act requires individual and group health plans to cover in-network preventative services without cost sharing, which is deductibles, co-insurance, co-payments. Okay, you're supposed to be able to receive these procedures and services completely and utterly free if your insurance is ACA compatible, which I think most of them are, but don't quote me on that. Cigna was. So that was the first piece of document that I got. But one step prior to that was narrowing down the codes that I needed from my doctor to make sure that those codes fell under the preventative care services, which allows for it to be free under the ACA. So I have a CPT code and the ICD-10-CM code. So the CPT code that was ended up being used was 58661 for a laparoscopic surgical with removal of adnexal structures. So it's a total or partial salpingectomy. So that was for code 58661, the CPT code. And then the ICD-10 code was Z as in zebra 30.2, encounter for sterilization. Those were the two codes that were reported from my insurance company under the preventative care services so that it was free under the ACA. I mean, I was on my P's and Q's, dotting all of my I's and crossing all of my T's prior to my procedure. I even found a letter. It was a public letter. I mean, I just happened to stumble upon this just researching, researching everything. And apparently this public letter was from the Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Treasury, and also the Department of Labor. And they were basically wrote a public letter to the group health plan sponsors and issuers regarding the Affordable Care Act and ensuring access to coverage without cost sharing for birth control and contraceptive counseling for individuals enrolled in group health plans. And then, just some other information. I ended up using this letter in my appeal as well. I don't know if I still have the link, but, I could always forward a copy to anybody that needs it. So, the next thing is, now I'm just waiting for my appointment. So all of this was happening and being confirmed between my doctor's office, the insurance company, chats every other day just to keep confirming if my codes were ACA approved and that my procedure would be 100% covered. I kept at this at least 2 to 3 times a week, kept confirming, and saving all of those chats, right? Because just from other people's experiences, I knew that, you could still possibly hit a brick wall after everything is said and done, which is what happened. So I get my first estimate from the hospital September 21st. Remember, my surgery was on the 26th. So literally the weekend before my procedure, I get an estimate from the hospital for $938.22, right? So I'm like, what? And they actually tried to tell me that this had to be paid before I could have my procedure. And I'm like, say what? And so that was like on a Wednesday, I want to say. So I was back on the phone with the billing department at the hospital and reconfirming everything with Cigna that same day. And so that was a Wednesday. My procedure was the following Monday. So I'm on the phone, I'm emailing, I'm like, I should not have to pay for this. And then the thing is, they sent me an estimate and it just had the hospital CPT code 58661, right? And at this, the estimated charges for this procedure was $56,909.27. That I had to pay $938.22 of in order to get my procedure. Now, I know compared to that big amount that this was like pennies, but not when it's supposed to be free, okay? It's supposed to be free, not supposed to be paying anything. So then I asked for a breakdown of what was costing me $900 that I'm not supposed to be paying technically. She didn't give me that. So I had to go through my the health app that was associated with the hospital that I was going to, because you can go through here to make payments, make appointments, follow up, all of this stuff. So I was like, let me just see if find me a statement or something. I mean, you can't just say I gotta pay this without telling me what it pertains to, right? So I'm waiting, I'm digging around, and I find like the explanation is like a EOB technically from the hospital, but it's like the explanation of something, and I clicked on it, and what do you know? The $900 is the $500 for my deductible for my insurance, because I had not met my deductible yet prior to my procedure. $500 for my deductible, and another for something for co-insurance and co-pay. The same thing according to the ACA that if we're not supposed to be paying because the procedure is covered, right? You know, and I'm telling you, it's all, you gotta know this stuff, because they will expect you not to know, not to fight it, and to just roll with it, and like, and then they do this stuff like right before your procedure, and I'm like, I wasn't having it. I'm like, no, I have all of the documents that you need to see. I can email them to you, but I'm not supposed to be paying this. So, and then it's so hard to get the insurance company in the hospital on the same line or together to correlate. So I end up giving my the billing team at the hospital the information to contact Cigna so that they can talk. And she said she was going to get back to me, and I really wanted an answer, because if the procedure was on Monday, I only got really 2 more business days to get this settled, because nothing is going to happen on the weekend. So by that Friday, the billing department, she called me, and she was like, okay, you're right. You do not owe. So then on September 23rd, I got a new estimate, all right? And it like says it right there that my estimated charges were $56,000 and that you pay was $0, right? So I was like, okay, cool, we good. Thank you. Oh my God. Right? So things move along, and I have my procedure, and then like during the recovery and all of this stuff. So after the procedure, I have all of my charges rolling in. Hold on, let me pause this. Okay, so I'm recovering, and you know, a couple of weeks go by, and then like all of the charges from my procedure start rolling in. So I had like a total of 5 or 6 claims from this procedure, and I'll go through them. Cause like I just could not believe that this was real life. You know, this was my first surgery, and my first time dealing with, you know, medical billing, insurance. I mean, thank God, like I'm a pretty healthy person, so I don't have any previous hospital stays or anything like that. I'm missing a claim within this stuff, but I know it's about 4 or 5. So I had about 4 or 5 or 6 claims from this procedure. 3 out of the 5 will automatically, okay, 0, you don't owe anything for this procedure. So I had one that was billed for $108 that Cigna said, okay, you don't owe anything, right? I had another claim for $3,103 that I end up not having to pay for. I think this is for the anesthesia. Yep, this is. And then the first one was for It does not even say. It just says he's an MD. But yeah. And then the third one was for $2,000 for my, and this is the doctor that I spoke to that I had the procedure by. $2,000 that ended up being zeroed out. And then there was a small one for 30 something bucks that I owed $3.64. And then and then there was the big bill. This was the fifth bill. And for this bill, the amount billed was $71,051.10. And then they said I owed $696.56 from here. No, $696.62. Sorry. So that's what I ended up on, $703 total or whatever from my procedure. This is after the fact. After I got a zeroed out estimate from the hospital, literally the Friday before. So a couple of weeks later, after all the bills come through, the Cigna is now telling me I owe them $700 and whatever for my procedure. So I'm like, oh my God, we got all of this stuff cleared up. So of course I'm going to reconfirm with everybody through the chat stuff. I'm still talking to people, but they are insisting that this is what I owe. So of course I'm mainly focused on the $696 that I owe from the $71,000. And this is why the explanation of benefits is so important to look through, because once again, I'm just reading off the paper right here. I looked through the EOB, and that's the explanation of benefits. And they have several little sections, but the main thing that I'm concerned is the copay section, the deductible section, and the co-insurance section. And lo and behold, the entire $696 that they said I owed, they're all listed in those three sections on the explanation of benefits, which takes me back to the Cigna administrative policy for preventative care services that do not include cost sharing. I'm like, look, y'all got this wrong. So I'm like, okay, I filed an appeal and I wrote them a letter on November 21st, 2022, a nice long letter. And basically just telling them about their own policy and all of the proof that I had that I didn't owe this bill. I would read the letter, but I really don't need to. I just briefly said that according to the EOB, all the charges fall under the categories of deductible and co-insurance, and refer back to their own administrative policy, and explain the letter from the Department of Health Services and Labor, the Department of Labor, and the Department of Treasury. I briefly mentioned that. I even went back to the statements that I got back from the hospital, one saying that I owed this amount of money, and then after confirming that my procedure was indeed free according to the ACA, ended up with a zeroed out statement before my procedure. So I just explained all of that. And then I went and I put in all of the previous chats that I had with all of their Cigna representatives over time. And there were 5 claims. I did confirm that. And so, and I did say that I was going to request a tracking number to file a complaint with the Florida State's insurance regulator and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So that was my appeal letter. And they got that. And they just kept pushing off, giving me an answer, kept pushing it. So I had got down to where I was only contacting them like once a month just to give them time to look. And then when they were supposed to have an answer for me, I want to say by December 19th, I sent the letter on November 21st. Yeah, so like a month later, they had told me that they were backlogged and that they would have an answer by January. And then when I contacted them in January, they were saying that they were escalating my case because I kept on top of it. Every date that they gave me that they said, okay, we should know something about this date, I contacted them on that day. So I just stayed on top of it. And then after the conversation regarding the case being escalated like mid or late January this year, I finally heard back. I think the second week of February, I think I heard back. I got a letter in the mail, and but it was regarding the little $3 thing that they said that they paid for. Nothing about the $6.96. So I'm like, man, this is like so ridiculous that this is going so long. So then I finally get an updated EOB that says the amount billed was $71,051.10. And what do you owe? $0. You save 100%. I was so happy. Okay? So happy that everything worked out. And you know, I'm not going to sit here and trash the government and insurance companies because that could be a whole rant. But these people know what they're doing. And I feel like they play on people's lack of knowledge. Because I feel like a lot of people probably do go ahead and pay this stuff and just be like, okay, you know, they know more than I do. But I love to read. I love to research. And that worked out in my favor for this because, yeah. And it may take forever because that medical bill ended up going to, collections. And I had told them that too. I'm like, I'm still getting these medical bills from the hospital, and I didn't even understand why I was getting the medical bill from the hospital when they gave me the estimate of $0 anyway. They knew I didn't know. So anyway, yeah, ended up going to collections. Even though I explained the situation to the hospital, I tried to tell my insurance company, like, I'm still getting medical bills. You guys know I don't owe this. You know, can we just do something to fix this? So now I'm in a dispute with the collection people, but I just sent them the updated EOB that says I owe $0, and that should be an open and shut case. All in all, it worked out. And I am so, so, so thankful. I mean, sometimes you just have to go the distance. And I feel like they also count on you getting tired of waiting and then caving in. But no, like, just absolutely not. So yeah, that was my experience dealing with the insurance company behind my sterilization. And I'm just thankful I came out on top. So, yeah. Now I am still in the fight for short-term disability through my job. That's still ongoing. Yeah, those 6 weeks I was out ended up being unpaid, and yeah, so I'm still waiting on a decision on that. But this was the most important thing. was to make sure that my procedure was indeed free. I hope this helps someone that is going through it or about to, have their procedure and trying to get things in order on the insurance side. Document. Everybody you talk to, get their name, get the time, get their position, their badge number. Chat if you can, print them. Yeah. I could send the public letter I found if that'll help someone, but just leave a comment. And please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you in advance, and I will see you next time around.